We're here at Coconuts Restaurant, and this is the first episode of Rosie and the Chef. Chef Byron White, how are you?
I'm doing great, and how's everybody out there? I gotta say welcome to Rosie. Rosie, nice to have you with us.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
We are gonna bring you every week some fun, fantastic, and exciting recipes. Not just what we do here at Coconuts, but we're gonna take advantage of some of the beautiful bounty that we have to offer, and we're getting it nice from Allen Produce.
That's right.
Now tell us a little bit about the business at Allen Produce.
Well, we just opened last week. We're at 1372 Allen Street in Springfield, and we specialize in good quality produce at a great price and a nice, clean environment.
Now I'll tell you what, it's a great location, it's a great spot for you to get some beautiful, beautiful specials. Now earlier in the show you saw we went down there and we looked at some great ingredients, and I gotta tell you, for March, to see the butternut squash that was down there, how much was the butternut squash?
59 cents a pound.
It's unheard of, folks.
Yeah.
The butternut was as big as your head, and I'll tell you what, in March, that's a steal of a deal. So you gotta go down there and check it out. Every week they're doing different promotionals, and we are gonna take every week some of that beautiful produce that they have there, and we're gonna make some ingredients here for you. This week we're focused on a nice, simple appetizer. We're gonna do some blackened scallops, and we're gonna use some nice sweet potatoes that we got from Allen Produce. Great bargain. They're a year-round staple item that they have there, and I'll tell you what, they're a new trendy thing because all of us out there, let's face it, we're all watching the LBs. Not a problem. We don't want to get that starch. We don't want to have those high carbohydrates. Sweet potatoes are the way to go. They're very good for you. They're a healthy alternative to potatoes. And I'll tell you what, they're delicious. You like sweet potatoes,
I love
Rosie?
them.
Oh,
Love them.
you can't ever get too much of the sweet potatoes. So we're going to make a blackened scallop app with some fried sweet potatoes. We're going to finish that with a little mango puree. And then after that, we're going to make you an unbelievable tradition Italian dish. We're going to make puttanesca sauce today, Rosie. Does that sound exciting?
I love it.
And we're going to do it with some of our vine-ripened tomatoes, which we made into a beautiful marinara sauce. And we're going to incorporate some of the beautiful olives and capers that we got from Allen Produce as well. Just a small sample of the great things that they have to offer. Because I'll tell you what, they're more than just produce. They have some nice specialty items as well. So you got to go check it out. So what we're going to do is we're going to get started.
Great.
What we're going to do is we're gonna start by prepping our sweet potato. Now, a sweet potato, you know, don't forget, it's a yam and a sweet potato aren't the same thing. A lot of us get confused. They're very similar, but you know, yams are more indigenous to Africa, and sweet potatoes are more indigenous to the U.S. and soils of the Western Hemisphere. Not that there's any difference. Flavor-wise, they're almost the same, but they are two different ingredients. So if you're in the supermarket, whether it's at Allen Produce or your local supermarket, and you're looking for a sweet potato, if they don't have it for some strange reason, could you take a yam? Yes, a yam will be acceptable. What we're going to do is we're just going to peel the skin off because we don't want the skin. So we're simply going to take that and we're just going to peel it off, because what happens is when we're going to fry the sweet potato, you want all the good flavor of the sweet potato, but you don't want the toughness or the coarseness of the skin. So we're simply just taking a regular peeler and we're just working it right off the sides. Now, Rosie, what inspired you guys to open up Allen Produce?
It's something that we were thinking of for a long time, and we wanted to just be able to offer something at a good price, good quality, not compromise the quality, because you know the most important thing to these recipes is to have good quality, fresh ingredients.
Now, you said it there, Rosie. Integrity to your dishes is the key to success, and that's nice that you guys pride yourself on that. And what we're doing today is hopefully pay respect to that with some of the ingredients. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to shred these up so that way when they fry, they almost taste texture-wise like potato chips, but they're not. They're going to be long and skinny. So what we're going to do is we're going to shred them on, this is a mandolin. Now, if you don't have them at home, if you want to pick one up, they can get them at most of your local department stores nowadays, or at your local kitchen supply store. Be careful though, because cutting it, you know, they have little knives in them, and that's the blades that actually get them cut for you. So what we're going to do is we're just going to very gingerly shred these, and you can see how that's coming out. You know, we're going to show you real quick. Nice little thin
that looks great.
strands of the sweet potato. We're just going to work it down until we have enough to make our dish. Now, what do I suggest? Now, because potatoes and sweet potatoes are very starchy, I strongly suggest that ahead of time you let these soak in water. And what that does is it helps knock some of the starch out of them. But because of the time parameters, we're not going to do that today. But if you had time, if you had about an hour before you wanted to make it, you would slice these like this and just put them in a little bucket and then fill it, you know, level with cold water, and let that sit in your fridge. What that would do is that would knock some of the starch out, which what that means is when you're frying it, it would help get a little bit crispier. Do you have to always do it? No, you don't. It's just something I prefer if you have the time.
That's good to know. I never knew that.
It's a nice little tip, and that's what we're here about. We're here about saving you tips. We're here about saving you money. Coconuts, almond produce. It's a win-win combination, folks. So what we're going to do is we have the sweet potatoes set up. We're going to start the scallops before we fry the sweet potatoes. So we're going to come right over here. And Rosie, what we got today is we got some beautiful 10-20 sea scallops. Look at those things.
Oh, those are gorgeous.
Coming right off the docks of Boston. Now, folks at home, when you're talking about scallops and you hear, you go to your local fish supplier, you go to a local supermarket, don't get scared. When you look at the shrimp, you're looking at the shellfish, you're looking at the scallops, and they go 10, 20, U15s, what's this? Don't get scared. It's not that, that's $15 a pound. What they're referring to is when it comes to 10, 20, or U15 or U13, that's the amount per pound. So these scallops, based on their size, range from anywhere to 10 to 20 per pound. And that's beneficial when you're going out there to shop, because now you know if the scallops are going for $10 a pound, for example, and there's an average of 15 per pound, you can better budget. And food is not just about enjoying what you're eating, it's about budgeting for your family and your needs. So that's a little insight. So now when you go and you're shopping for your shrimp or your scallops or anything else in the fish area, when you hear that terminology, you know that's what it means. So we got these beautiful 10-20 scallops. What we're going to do is we're going to just lightly drizzle them with a little bit of extra virgin olive oil, and we're going to season them with a little bit of salt and pepper. Now we're going to do this on both sides because it's important that you season both sides of any dish when you're making it.
Now that's salt and pepper.
It's just a little bit of salt and pepper. Flip that over there like so. And why is that important? Because when you eat, you're eating everything with all this, your mouth has so many different sensory organs to it. It's not just in one spot. And now what we're going to do is we're going to season this with a little bit of a Cajun blackened seasoning. Now this is just a nice little mix of cayenne pepper, Spanish paprika, some ground garlic, onion granules, thyme, ground oregano, and some other spices, which really is going to add a nice little blackening sense to the scallops.
I love that.
Unbelievable.
Love it.
Not just aroma, but taste-wise.
Yeah.
It really kicks it up. And that's what we're all about here on Rosie and the Chef. So we're going to kick it up with flavor for you, and we're going to slightly flip those over.
Well, they look good already.
Yeah.
Now you put olive oil on there, you said?
I did put a little bit of olive oil on. That's going to help the seasoning adhere to the scallop, so that way when it's pan searing, it's not going to fall off.
Oh, okay.
I'll tell you what, Rosie, I'm already hungry. How about you? Are you hungry?
I can't wait.
Folks, we hope you're hungry. Now, you see that just enough to coat them. You don't want to overpower it. You don't want it to be too heavy. So right now what we're going to do is we're going to get to these to the pan.
So the oil keeps that on there like that?
The oil helps the seasoning stick to the scallop, so that way when you're searing it doesn't fall off. So that's a nice little tip for you at home. If you ever wondered when you're cooking at home, how come the spices all fell off in the pan? That's why. You want them to really adhere to the protein that you're cooking. So that's a nice little inside tip.
Sure.
Now what we're going to do is we're gonna get our pan on. Now when we're going to sear the scallops, you want to make sure that your pan is very hot. What we're going to do is we have the pan on ahead of time. We're going to use just a regular blended oil. We're going to put a little bit in, and there's a test for this. And what we call it is you want the oil to dance in the pan. And what that refers to is when you're cooking any protein, you want to make sure that the oil is hot enough so that it's searing the protein, it's not absorbing the oil. Because if your food is absorbing the oil, then it's not going to be that healthy for you. So the trick to do that is you touch the pan and you roll it backwards. And you see how the oil just drizzle down like that? Yeah. That's a terminology called dancing in the pan. So folks, that's when you know your oil's hot enough. But just be careful when you start to add stuff to it, because hot oil doesn't feel nice on your skin. So you don't want to burn yourself. You want to make sure that if you're cooking this recipe at home, the kids are safely away. So now that the oil's hot enough, we're going to introduce the scallops. You hear that sizzle? That means your oil is hot enough. And what you want to do is scallops are a thing you want to get a nice caramelization on. So putting them in there like that, you hear that nice, smell that already? Oh, baby. Unbelievable.
Now it's better to just use the regular oil?
For this, that's a great question, Rosie. Whenever you're searing something, you want to use just a regular blended oil. And the reason for that is when you use a high-quality olive oil or virgin olive oil, you want to use that for the base of a sauce or the finish of a sauce or a salad. Okay. If you're using it to sear something, basically you could do it, but you're using a very expensive oil to do something that's not going to be part of the finished product. We're going to actually drain the oil from this before we throw them in the oven to finish them. And if you use the high quality oil, it would just be a very expensive way to sear your scallops.
I can't believe how good they smell.
They smell unbelievable right now. Now you got to be careful because you see how fast they're searing.
Yeah.
You got to make sure that you don't want to burn them. And now the trick usually is for the scallops, they're going to take about 20 to 25 seconds, maybe a few seconds more on each side. Scallops are very delicate. You want to caramelize them. And what we mean by caramelizing is you want to brown them and take the sugars out of them. You want to develop that flavor. Scallops are very naturally sweet, and we don't want to do any injustice to that. So if you cook them too long, they'll be tough. So see that already?
Nice.
Nice caramelization. We got the seasoning of the scallop. We can already smell it work in there. Just nice and easily flip them over. We're going to let them go on that side for about another 15 seconds or so. What we're going to do is we're going to finish them in the oven, so that way we can time them with our sweet potatoes. Now, do you have to finish them in the oven at home, folks? No, we're doing that so that way I can show you how to actually make the fried sweet potatoes right before you put out the scallops. So
terrific.
What we're going to do is we're going to shut that off, but before we put them in the oven, it's important we drain the oil out because you don't want them to just burn in the oven, and by taking the oil out, it'll help them evenly cook. So we just drain it into a side pan. We're going to put these in your conventional oven at home. Preheat your oven to about 325 degrees.
Yep.
And we're going to put them in there. And by the time we're done with our sweet potatoes, these should be done. A couple minutes. If you wanted to finish them in the pan and not put them in the oven, just turn the heat down to like a medium heat, and they would take about another 2 minutes or so. Okay, so we're going to put them in there. Rosie, are you hungry already or what? Tell you what, I hope you're hungry out there because we're hungry in here. So meanwhile, we're going to go back and we are going to take these nice beautiful sweet potatoes that we had and we're going to fry them up. Now at home you're not going to have the industrial fry laters that restaurants have. I know nowadays in some of the department stores they have the little miniature ones. If you have one at home, that's fantastic. If you don't, this step you're not going to be able to enjoy. No worries, come to Coconuts, we're going to take care of you. What we do is we have our oil preheated to 350 degrees. These are something that are gonna bubble up immensely in the fryer when you start to cook them. So I warn you ahead of time, make sure that the kids are off to the side and make sure that you're working with tongs. That way you're working in the oil and you're not gonna harm yourself or anybody around you. So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna take these sweet potatoes and we're gonna actually put them in the fry basket. Just like so, and they're gonna cook really, really fast, and we're just gonna carefully put them into the fry later and slowly let them down, because you see already how the oil is immediately coming out. That's actually the oil working with the sugars and the water that's in the sweet potato. So now that we dropped them in, see how it's bubbled so fast?
Oh yeah.
That just means that they're going to cook very rapidly, and that's what we want. We want a nice crispy sweet potato, just making sure that we don't burn ourselves in the process.
Now how long are they going to stay in there?
Now these things are really fast. These things are going to take maybe about 30 seconds tops.
That's it.
Oh, wow.
If that. So what we're going to do is we're going to make sure we have our handy tongs,
Oh yeah,
towel nearby.
that's important at home, yeah.
And we're just going to make sure that we just very carefully, gingerly touch them, make sure they're off the sides, because Rosie, it's important, you want them to evenly cook.
Okay.
Now, by them floating, that means they're almost done?
They're almost done. You can notice the color difference. You notice
Yeah.
when we first cut them,
Yeah.
I actually purposely didn't put them all down. Remember, they started off like this. They start off that nice, beautiful orange.
Yeah.
But when you fry them, see how quickly they got that nice,
Yeah.
beautiful, I call it GB&D, golden brown and delicious. Now, the trick whenever you fry something, we're going to take them and we're going to move to a pan, is anything coming out of the fryer you want to season right away. And why is that? Because right now is when it's full, it's opened up, it's like a sponge. It's like going inside. Feed me with seasoning. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to season it with just a little bit of salt. And that's important because salt, you know, a lot of people don't realize this, but salt doesn't give flavor to dishes. What salt actually does is brings out the flavor of stuff. And a lot of people at home, you know, kind of lose that focus. And people think that salt makes everything taste good. What salt really does is salt takes the natural flavor of stuff and makes it come alive. If you use salt properly, you're going to taste the naturalness of the ingredients. You're not going to taste the salt. If you salt too much or too heavy, that's when you taste the salt and something becomes too salty. So knowing that when you cook is going to make you that much better, and it's going to make you appreciate that this little thing called salt is an enhancer, not a substitute. So remember that, and we'll talk about that later on in other shows to come.
Now, before we forget, why don't you tell the fine folks out there, Byron, what are the hours of operation here in the kitchen at Coconuts, and where are you located?
Coconuts is on Dickinson Street in Springfield, Mass, and we are open lunch and dinner 7 days a week. We open at 11 o'clock for lunch. We start serving dinner at 4. We run great happy hour from 4 to 6. That'll knock your socks off. Everything is fresh. Everything is seasonal, from the bread to the desserts. Everything is made in-house. And I'll tell you what, getting a chance to utilize some of the great produce from Allen Produce is the key to our success. So Rosie, tell them a little bit about Allen Produce and your hours of operation and what you got going on over there this week.
Allen Produce, we're at 1372 Allen Street in Springfield, and we're 7 days a week, 7 to 7.
Yep.
That's
Great.
awesome. Now what we're going to do is, while our scallop, I can hear our scallops almost done, we're going to take these beautiful sweet potatoes, which would you like to try sweet potato?
Yeah,
They're really
I
good.
feel like I'm cheating when I have like some.
They're addictive, folks, so I warn you now. If you want to make some extra brownie points at home, throw a little flour in your
Those are
face when you're done.
delicious.
Make the husband or the significant other go, oh, I slaved all day in the kitchen, honey, over these. You're going to get the extra credit, you're going to get the extra brownie points, and he's going to love you for it. So we're going to put these right in the middle of the plate like that. They've got a nice presentation, and I'll tell you what, remember, these are sweet potatoes. They're a great alternative to the regular potato.
Loaded with nutrients.
Great nutrients, but from vitamin K to vitamin C, you're not going to have to worry about the high starch content, the high carbohydrates from the regular potato. And like I said, they're fun. You're going to get your kids involved. If you have a family at home, this is a great way to get the whole family interactive in the kitchen. And nowadays, it's about healthy choices, healthy decisions, and healthy cooking.
Actually, these are probably good for
And they're
diabetics.
delicious.
They are delicious too. And what we're going to do now is, we've timed our scallops. We're going to pull them out.
Oh boy, look at those.
Folks, unbelievable. Nice caramelization on both sides. We're going to plate these, and we're going to show you a finished product. Now, the sweet potatoes you can get at Allen Produce all the time, correct, Rosie?
Yep, got them all the time.
Awesome. Now, this was a quick and simple, easy little recipe that we made here. And what we're going to do is, you can finish this off with any kind of accompaniment you want. You know, in season, we can take some fresh tomatoes, make a little fresh tomato salsa and put on top. What we decided to do today is we made a little mango puree. And you just take a fresh mango, you cook it down with a little bit of sugar and water, and you thicken it with a little bit of cornstarch. And if you do that, and put that as a little side accompaniment to the sauce, and put that over those scallops.
Oh my God. And they smell so delicious.
Unbelievable. Now, Rosie, show the folks at home that beautiful appetizer. And that is just one of the many great things that you can take advantage of, not just getting your produce at Allen Produce, but coming down to Coconuts and checking us out
This
here.
is gorgeous. Look at that.
That is our blackened scallops.
Fabulous.
Gorgeous.
And until next time, folks, bon appetit.